It's 8 o'clock a.m. on August the 4th, 2022. Welcome everybody to our August work session. That being said, I'm going to ask if she doesn't mind Alderman Small to lead us in a prayer.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for being allowed to be in your word again this morning. We ask, Lord, that you be with us as we conduct this meeting. We ask, Lord, that you go before us in every decision that we have to make. We ask that you be with the workers today and bless them as they continue their job for the city. We ask, Lord, that you bless this food for the nourishment of the bodies of those who receive it. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I will say before we get started, I've been kind of battling a seasonal cold, and if my voice leaves me, I will send Alderman Small a message and she will take over. She said, well, you need to limit your talking today. I said, well, I don't know if that's possible or not, but we'll see anyway. So, and I will say, I was in a meeting with some of you, a pretty close meeting other than that, and this cold was coming on. I did test for COVID. It is not COVID. I'm negative, so I'm just battling the summer cold. That being said, has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Anybody got any changes? Okay, the minutes will stand as written. The next on our agenda is a downtown sidewalk project update. Crowway Engineering is here with us today, and I hope everybody picked their copies up, and we will turn it over to Crowway, to Brad. Looks like we got two of them here today.
Does everybody have a copy of everything? I just want to give a brief update on where we were. Basically, at this point, we have taken our design, I'd say almost to 60%, 70%, where we can start getting some good cost estimate numbers for y'all to start looking at. The design process itself still has a little bit more as far as getting into details on it, but we have enough that we feel confident enough to give a good estimate on things that potentials as far as could be with the design, and that way we can come back and look and know there's a finite budget. We can start looking at which blocks need to be taken care of first. I'll be happy to go through some of the design aspects of it if you need. Basic gist of, I'd say 3 or 4 of the 5 blocks is that we'll wind up having 2 levels of sidewalks. First level will be at back of curb to allow easy access onto the transition from parking to a sidewalk area. And then most of the areas will either have a parallel transition up to the next level, which will be typically that difference in elevation is going to be less than 30 inches. But in some areas it's a little bit more, most areas it's a little bit less than that. But most of it will be a parallel transition, and some will have a perpendicular transition from the back of curb. It's just, it won't be right at the back of curb level like you have right now. It'll be pushed back a little bit and make for an easier transition so you don't feel like you're getting dumped into a parking bay or have to feel like you're walking up steps immediately from a parking bay.
Excuse me, how many did you say would have transition of the 5? How many will have?
There's 4 of the 5 blocks, because we've got south part of Main Street that we're considering our 5th block. So you've got the 4 blocks around the square, and then that 1 block of Main that's south of the square. We've got areas for seating as far as benches. We've got high tabletop, I'll call like bar top level as far as resting areas, seating areas. Some of those will have seats with them. Some of them will just be freestanding, just for, I'd say, not necessarily hanging out, but for some of them are going to be outside of the restaurants or outside of areas where people just, need a place to sit for a minute and that transition. We'll also have trash receptacles. All this will be a uniform as far as the materials and the style around the area. So It's not going to be a hodgepodge of materials throughout, but try to look and bring in a standard that can be carried out through the downtown area, once this takes off. Does anybody have any questions about this right now?
A lot of it's explained in what public works, so I'll look over it some more.
Okay, and I did bring another large format copy if anybody's having trouble looking at some of this, but it's I know this is a little difficult to read at this scale on the 11 by 17s, but I've got some extra copies here for the 11 by 17s as well. And again, if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.
With budget, how are you kind of saying, I know you're in the early stages, but how do you see this working into what we've got as far as budget-wise?
And I have not started the cost estimate yet because I wanted to get, make sure y'all are good with this as far as where the design's headed. And once y'all say yes on this, that's when I'm going to start breaking out everything, and we'll start looking at seeing, realistically what, based on how construction costs have been going as far as increase and stuff, go ahead and give us a good contingency right now to work with that we can start looking at, okay, you've got this set amount of money. Realistically, we can only look at block A or block B or A and B, just depends on what y'all want to tackle. But the cost estimate itself will be broken out by each block. So it'll be a kind of a shopping list, which one you want to go with.
In your observation and professional opinion, where do you see the busiest area of the square pedestrian-wise?
It depends on the day.
Yeah.
So, I know the original thought process and all this came from the south part of Main Street because of some of the incidents that happened on there, and mainly because that one seems to be kind of hidden steps, if you will. That was one that it looks like probably needs to be tackled immediately just because of safety issues. Because the other areas have, you've got handrails out front here, so it's a little bit more apparent what needs to be done. As far as from a ADA access, and compliance, I would probably say either that part of Main or what you have out front. Those would be my two that I would say from code standpoint would be the two that I would tackle first. The one as far as traffic-wise was going to be Market. It seems to have the most traffic running back and forth, and it's just, I think it's mainly because of the variety of businesses that are there. The restaurants all, provide the traffic. The courthouse obviously, provides the traffic around, and, courthouse, you're either going back and forth between attorney's offices or restaurants. That's typically what's going to happen. But those are the three I see as far as your higher priorities right now because of traffic and because of code issues.
Anybody else?
All right, thank you.
We'll get back with you.
Okay.
All right. We're going to move number A down to the end. Will's running a little bit late. And maybe he'll get here by the time we close. I don't know. We'll see. All right, we'll go to the police.
Good morning. I have 5 events that need to be passed on for approval. It's going to be the Fund Our Fluffin'. It's going to be August 13th. And then we have the Fayetteville, Tennessee event permit. It's going to be September 22. And then we got the Let Our Voices Be Heard permit, be September 3rd, 22. And St. Raphael Knights Columbus car rally is going to be October 8th. And Fall in Love with Fayetteville, October 1st. So those need to be all moved forward.
Okay, on the number 5, did that come through the police committee?
No, it did not. It was requested by the mayor to move it forward.
Okay. Anybody got any problem with going ahead with it, number 5 without going through the police committee? You okay with it?
I'm fine with that. I looked it over and everything seems fine. It's going to be the same setup as far as the Friday's events.
Okay, all right. We got one of these that the city attorney will be taking a look at. I don't see any problem with sending it on to Tuesday night, but the city attorney will be taking a look at one of these, just one little part of one of these. That being said, is everybody okay with sending all these on?
Yes, Mayor, I'd just like to say that on the Fall in Love with Fayetteville, normally Main Street comes at the beginning of their fiscal year with all their events, and this will be a new event that has been added, so that's why it was not included with the other event packages. So we appreciate everybody's consideration.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay. We'll go to the fire department.
Good morning. The only thing I have this morning is to ask for a resolution for a 50/50 matching grant to put in for the public entity partners. It will be for safety glasses, safety vest, and some leather work gloves. And it's going to be a total of 42. Get my paper here. It'll be a total of $42.99.30, and then it'll be a 50/50. They'll reimburse us for 50% of that.
Is that all you got?
That's all I have, yes, sir.
All right. Anybody have any issues moving that on? Okay. We'll move that on.
Also, just a quick update. We did get engine 2 back from the Brindley Mountain from the refurb. We have it in service now.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Parks and Rec.
Good morning. Our pool slide has been repaired. It was repaired on July the 23rd. It is up and going. Stonebridge Park lighting update. We are waiting on quotes to come in for that so we can have that little project completed. Our soccer net is in. We're in the planning stages on trying to get that one put up. Damage to the park bathroom at S.J. King. We have gotten our quotes in and we've turned those in to the insurance adjuster. We're just waiting on them to get back with us so we can go ahead and get that work completed. Fall Soccer League, we're looking to have one, and hopefully we can get that up and going here pretty soon. And our August pool schedule will be open only on the weekends, and then Labor Day will be our last day for the pool to be open for the season.
Any questions?
Was the S.J. King bathroom vandalism, or what was that?
No, it was actually someone who backed into it accidentally.
Okay, yes.
We do have one thing this kind of came up, and you probably don't even know anything about this. I'll just briefly mention it. We're going to have to look into it a little deeper because we didn't let it go any further. It was an ideal maybe of closing down Kiwanis Park during school hours. But that would need to go through the school board. The school board would need to deal with that.
Can I ask you a question? Not to interrupt you for a second. Why would it have to go to the school board? Because according to the Tennessee laws...
Who's asking for it to be?
Well, because the U.S. Marshal came down and did a safety course with the teachers.
Who did he give the safety course to?
To the teachers, the facility.
To the teachers. They
Absolutely.
work for who?
The city
They work
school
for school
system.
board, so it needs to go
Yeah,
through
but
the
that
school
park,
board.
those parks, with all respect, don't belong to the city school system. They belong to the public. The reason I wanted it closed because going around to the people, we got kids in these school systems. It's not when or if it's ever going to, I mean, if we can protect the kids and the faculty of any system in our city, that's on us to do a little bit of safety. But
It's a public park.
it is a public park, but
It's-
we hold, I mean, as far as Tennessee state laws,
Yeah.
we can close a park at any given hour. And they are closed at now, it does, I think. But for safety reasons, and for, all respect for the city school system, yes, I think we're just putting another safety equipment in somebody's belt because there's all kinds of things going on all over the United States. And anybody can drive in that park any given time from the front entrance all the way to the back. So, I mean, if we close it during school hours and open back up at 4:30, and nothing goes on at that park during daytime anyway. We have a dog park already set up at S.J. King Park. We got the park over here, Stonebridge.
Nothing going on in Kiwanis Park?
Near the daytime, absolutely not.
Well,
No,
why should we close it then?
for safety
Nothing going
reasons, for safety.
Well, if there's nothing going on there, it's not anything.
But what if, I mean, what if we throw that what if out there?
I'm not comfortable with closing that public park down until we get some more legal guidance on that, and I'm not comfortable with closing that park down. I would like to know what the school board has to say about that. If they want that park closed down, they should, to me, they should make that request, because the two's tied together. I mean, they're tied together over there, and I'm not comfortable with just voting to close that park down without going back and talking to the school system about it, and also having John look into any legal issues with just closing the park down because there's a school there. I think it's too quick. I want more information on
I'm
that.
okay for looking into it, but I'm also okay for moving it forward to see what, you know, I mean, if we need to have a public hearing on it, let's do it, because I disagree. We can always agree to disagree, but for the safety of the kids and the safety community and everything involved, because anybody can go in any given time from the back area. And the logistics part came from our committee as far as I invited Scotty Vaughn, it's over the SR officers, to come down, and that would be on the police part, I would think logistics on it.
It's up to the board. It's up to the board. I'm not saying not do it. I'm saying I'm not comfortable with just jumping into that without taking a look at that, because that is a public park. So if we decide that we're going to close every public park down because of whatever reasons, I'm not comfortable with just doing that this quick without involving the school system, because they are involved. That request, whether it's coming, no matter who it's coming from, it's coming because a person came down to the school system and made some comments. Well, that's where it all started at the school system. And I've checked into this a little bit, just enough to know that I'm not comfortable with moving this forward to vote on without talking with the school board, and also the rec department is involved in this. Should be. It is a public park, but it's up to the board. If y'all want to move this on, to act on it, Tuesday night, it's up to the board, whatever y'all want to do.
I think we need all the information behind it before we send it to a vote. I'm not saying that it doesn't need to be.
Right.
I'm saying you had someone that came and talked. We need to hear what was said and what the concerns are. I mean, we know what concerns are, but let's get them out in the open here so that we can all hear them.
Yeah, because I mean, as we need to take it, whatever, I mean, I'm ready to go to, I would like to go to a vote to see, to go to a public hearing if we need to have one, to let the committee decide if they want to close it for safety reasons, but, you know, I don't want it on I don't want, you know, me to go to, I mean, I like to sleep good at night knowing if something ever happened at school system, it wasn't on me. And I'd hate to see anything happen to any of our school systems, but that's the only park that resides in a park.
Alderman Hartman, what do you want to do?
I would say we need more information. I mean, this is kind of coming, not really secondhand, but it's kind of secondhand. Nobody here wants to see anything happen to the children, but I think the state fire marshal's report should come through the city schools and then to us.
Okay, that's kind of where I'm at, Jeff. What do you think?
I'm in the same place.
You want more information? Let's do this. Let's don't walk away from it, but let's take one more month, take a look at it, get with the school system. Any way you cut it, that school board should be involved. And since that park is right behind there, they should know what's going on. It shouldn't be going on with them being in the blind. We wouldn't like that happen to us, I don't think. So we will move forward, and we'll bring that back up. We'll bring that back up next month in a work session.
Is there any way to get that report that we can see before?
I don't know.
Is there a written report?
I mean, no, I don't think it was a written, it'll be audio, I'm sure, because they come down and did the safety course for the school system.
I think somebody came over there, maybe FBI, somebody, and I think that just kind of came up, and I'm not real clear that it was a strong recommendation. I think it could have just been, well, it's a possibility, so.
I I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, go ahead.
I think if it was an imminent danger, I mean, every day it's a possibility, but if it was
It is.
imminent danger, I think that someone
Yeah.
from the school system would have approached this.
I think that just came up, it just came up in a process of some safety issues.
Yeah, I don't think it's in imminent danger, but what I'm saying is, if we can put another hedge around any system, it's gonna protect the kids. I think that's what we ought to do. I think it's up to us as
Well, we'll have,
to do it.
we'll get with the school board and talk to them about it. Kevin, can you get Mr. Hopkins and
Yes, sir.
run that by him and get all the information that we can? John, I don't think it's any legal issues either way, but look into it and come back. I think it's the safest approach for our board is to get all the information that we can, not just jump into something. So we'll bring it back next month, though.
And this is where the SRO, I think, would come into play too, being more aware of that is an open part and to keep constant check on what's going on back there during the
Yeah.
daytime. So
Yeah, it's all right then. We will address it, Roger. We'll
Well, I mean, I think we need to address
Yeah,
it.
we'll address
Absolutely.
it.
100%.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
I guess you was familiar with this because it came through the park.
Yeah, I just heard about, I found out Tuesday about it. Yes, I sure did. Yes.
I do have a question to, just for more clarification, I guess, on the soccer.
Yes.
Is this through Cheer Magic group there at Stonebridge Park?
Like it was in the spring.
In the spring,
Yeah,
okay.
It's just going to be, instead of it being a spring league, it's going to be a fall league this time.
Okay, but all the money and the proceeds and everything go through them, not through the city?
Yes, they go through-
Because
yes.
I know we had that problem before with softball and baseball, private entities and things like that, so I just want to clarify
Yeah,
that.
same thing as it was in the spring, yes.
And really, by our agreement, we have to have a field open to the public.
Correct.
And they would be the public, I'd
Yes.
say, so.
Lincoln County Guns.
Yeah,
Yes,
that- fulfill that. So, all right, if there's nothing else, we'll go to planning and codes. Christie.
Thank you. Good morning. I will do a full department update on Tuesday evening, but I did want to take the time to give an update on Cruise In. Our 8th annual Cruise In, September the 10th. Pre-registration is open. We are starting to see those trickle in. Registration that day will be from 2 to 4, and then the event is from 4 to 7. Black Rose Nation is the feature band. They will be playing from 4 to 7. Registration fee is $30. You will receive a cruising bag with the t-shirt, koozie, the dash plaque. We will also be selling the vintage tees that day from the past years, and also the 2022 shirts for $20, and then the koozies will be $5. We did the Slim Can koozies this year, and they all feature our logo for this year. We do have a good variety of food trucks that have already signed up. Maggie Moo's Ice Cream, Nothing But Cakes, Sassy Dogs, and then Papa Greg and Big John's Barbecue. We do have some verbal commitments from a few others, so we hope that they will join us also. I wanted to thank Jesse and Kobe for passing out posters and sponsorship packets to some of the businesses around town. The sponsors are starting to also come in. Just this week, we've received checks from First National Bank, Carter's, Miss Dixie Smith, and Honey's Restaurant. On our Cruise In Downtown Facebook page, we're trying to reach 1,500 page likes. When we reach that goal, we're going to do a giveaway. So if you'll please like and share and try to invite some of your friends. We're just trying to build that page up. And that's my report.
I'm sorry, I missed that date again.
September the 10th.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So these building permits, 2.8 million is for a month, right? 1 month.
Yes, sir. Yes.
1.9 of that is on the old Goodman building.
Yes, sir.
And then there's another big amount. Where would that amount be? About another 800,000 probably. Probably out yonder, would that be out at Copperwell?
Let's see. I think those had already come through, Mr. Danny.
Okay.
And it may be just the, we did have 2 266,000 from
Okay.
Connors.
All right.
And then we had 300,000 was for the valuation on a new home, new residential home.
Okay.
So the rest of that would just be would equal
Yeah.
up the rest of those permits.
All right.
Yes, sir. And we are making progress on the old concrete plant, on cleanup efforts there. The landscaping did get addressed at the old Taco Bell site. And then, of course, Jill's log is on the iPads, and it's filling up very quickly.
What's going to happen at the old concrete plant?
They're hoping, they're in the preliminary stages. They want to bring a plant back there. They've got to do a flood development plan and do some things through the planning commission, but they are wanting to come back.
Okay.
Especially with the expansions at Copperweld, and then some new development out in the county that's doing a lot of slab homes. There's going to be a lot of concrete to be poured. So I think they're just trying to get back in business here. It will be really good for the city to have something back there. But we are very proud that they have started their cleanup efforts. That's been a long time.
So the old Taco Bell building, is it going to be tore down or?
They're trying to lease it. They said that they
lease it
had
out.
2 people look at it last week.
Okay.
But we're just trying to stay on top of definitely the property maintenance.
And old Pizza Hut building, I saw some work going on back there one day.
Yes, sir. Duncan has resumed construction, so we're hope to have them hopefully this fall, maybe.
Okay.
I was glad, did Jill have anything to do with the landscaping at the post office? I was
think
glad
so,
to see
yes, ma'am.
that they pulled out all of that old shrubbery.
Yeah,
Getting ready
she's
to get
been hard at it, but
That's
she's
quite an
having a lot of
eyesore.
victories here lately. Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate that very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
We got IT.
Good morning.
Morning.
I've got an update on our Spectrum cable install. In my work session report, I mentioned that there'd been contractors out here on 3 separate occasions, and at the time, the only remaining departments were Recreation and Public Works. I received a call this Tuesday from a contractor saying he'd be in the area at 10 o'clock today, and that we should have that finished by the end of the day today. Other than that, I've just been studying for another certification. I'm working on my Security Plus cert. And Fire Station 1 had their camera system go down. Hard drive failed in that. We replaced that and got it back up and running. Other than that, that's my report.
Anybody got any questions? Zach?
Thank you.
Go to finance.
Good morning. The finance report for the month of July 22 will include the local option sale tax for the month of June. It came in at $100,669.90. And that meant that the fiscal year of 22, we closed at a total of $3,390,571. That total budget in the fiscal year 22 was $3,200,000, and this was equivalent to an increase of in surplus of $190,571. So we did come in over budget for that. In our occupancy tax for the month of June, we collected $18,688.18. We closed the fiscal year with $171,633.45, and the total budget for the fiscal year was $160,000, which meant that we did come in about $11,633 above budget for that. As you may have seen if you've been in the building this week, we are continuing to be in the auditing process as we close the books. We're looking at the year-end close to be on August 31st, and staff is working to make sure we meet that deadline. And finally, we have staff did submit application information to participate in the Tennessee Drug-Free Workplace Program, and the city of Fayetteville was able to receive a 5% reduction savings in their workers' compensation insurance policy. So I want to give credit to the staff for saving us 5% on that. And unless you have any further questions, that concludes the report.
Okay. Anybody got any questions on that part of it? All right. Finance, number 1, additional funding for Count Blunt Pavilion. Mr. Kevin.
Okay, yeah. So that amount, excuse me, this is part of the, and I thought we were going to have somebody here to do the breakdown, so forgive me, but bottom line is that Count Blunt, that particular, it came over $6,200 above cost, and they had to do some particular repairs, and he did present doing budget and finance, but they were able to get some contributions and finally get it down to $3,700. What the Count Blunt board is asking is for the city to split of their total cost, and that would be to the city $1,850.
Yeah,
So that is their request.
they had $1,000 in donations on that, help some. This would be, this $1,850 would be a split. The county would also do $1,850. I would suggest that we entertain the idea. Of course, we'll have to decide if we want to move it on, number 1. But I would certainly hope that the county would do their part of it, with us doing our part, put it that way. Y'all
I
want to
think it's Camp Blunt though, instead of the county, isn't it, Kevin? Camp
Is it Camp Blunt?
They're planning on doing that.
Okay.
I think the county put in on
All right.
that last one, you know.
So that this would be Camp Blunt doing a part of it?
Yes, sir, that
Okay.
is absolutely
All right.
correct, Count.
Yeah, well, they've agreed to do that part of it. So we're just down to the $1,850 then, and everything else is covered. Y'all want to move this on to the work session? Appreciate that, Jeff. I'm so used to being careful about that. The next 2 items is city school system payment. This is pass-throughs. We get these every month. There's a lot of these charges going on engineering fees and so forth. Number 2 and 3, is everybody okay with passing number 2 on to vote on?
Yes.
Tuesday night? Okay, everybody okay with passing number 3 on to vote on Tuesday night?
Yes.
All right, that being said, we'll carry them forward. All right, we back to Mr. Kevin on revising some policies here.
Good morning again. The first one under H that we have will be revising the vehicle use policy. And what we decided to do is allow the board to look at the policy as it exists and what recommendations as far as changes we would need to allow you all to make comments on that. But just in summary, this is allowing the vehicle use policy for those that are allowed to take the policies on, take vehicles on to go to adjacent counties, be able to drive to adjacent counties, and it would also involve having approved permission from the city administrator to allow the use, but we wanted to get the input of the board prior to making those changes.
Now, we're talking about, as an example, we're talking about whatever department, police department or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
Those that are allowed by policy
Right.
to drive, and it's basically just expanded beyond the.
Right. It would just expand it, if it's 3 miles, it'd be 3 miles. If it's 10 miles, it'd be 10 miles. We're taking a beating. I just tell you, we're taking a beating. What's going on here is if you have other counties that joins us that allows, whether it be police or fire, whoever, it happens to take a vehicle home, but most of it's police. It's mostly police. If they allow that, then that's the advantage they've got on us. That's a big advantage they've got on us. And what's happened here is we've got police officers right now, if I'm not mistaken, probably don't live over 3 miles over a county line. They're probably within 3 miles of a county line, and they're just, and that just got them where they're having to work around every kind of situation it is to try to deal with that vehicle. And we have enough problems keeping employees the way it is, and I think that my opinion is that we should take a hard look at this. That's all right. But now you just want us to look at that this month and come back next month. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir, that would be fine. We wanted the input of the board before.
Right, the whole board.
So that would be fine.
Yeah, and come back next month
Yes.
and maybe be able to act on this.
Right.
Okay.
With the input.
So there wouldn't be any reason to carry this on if we're going to come back. We're going to study this for a month. It's just something to study. Everybody have a good chance to study it and everything, but I've not talked to either one of the commanders about the issues they've got, but I've heard about them over the years about these issues, and they could more than likely tell us. I'm not going to drag them into it or pull them into it, but they could more than likely tell us that they are at a disadvantage because of this, and maybe some other departments too. But we have to keep in mind now, we don't really have, outside of the police department, we don't have a lot of people driving vehicles. But the police has to. They got no choice. They have to because, they'll call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So appreciate you bringing that up where we take a look at it. So everybody take a good hard look at that.
Vice Mayor, may I make one more comment on that? There's a new state law that prevents us from having any kind of residency requirement for first responders. It's just going into place. So,
Right.
we are still, pursuant to the state law, we could still regulate department heads, we could still regulate vehicle
Right.
usage, but we're looking at a situation by state law where even if we wanted to, we can't prevent
Right.
first responders from living outside the county. So,
Right.
so I think the question is going to be, do we or don't we want them to be able to have their vehicles with them to respond to
Yeah.
calls and emergencies?
I think that's right. I mean, you did break that up as state law. The state's already said, we're going to allow them to take vehicles home. When does that state law go into effect?
It's in effect.
So we're in violation right now, more likely. If we let them take them home right now, we're kind of in violation of that state law, but not letting them drive it over the county line. That's what I think. So let's take another month, take a look at it, come back next month and make a decision on that.
Danny, I would like to say too, though, with the state law, then the city has to make a decision whether to allow them to take them home. We can't restrict their restriction of where they live. So I would like to ask Mr. Owens, could you check with surrounding counties? And I think we know what the answer is going to be as far as take-home vehicles. The state law says you can't restrict their residency, but you can restrict it by right. You can restrict whether we allow them to take the vehicle home. So what are the other surrounding areas? Are they still allowing, with this state law change, are they still allowing first responders, fire, police, to take the vehicles home? Because I know a lot of them, say you drive in or you drive to a certain spot, but we don't want to lose employees because of it. But I think that would kind of, further state why we're changing this policy.
That came through our committee. Most counties let them go through the county line, and that's where they drop them off. And that's what the police department's asking for, is for them to go to the county line.
Because I see up here in Marshall County.
And then that's exactly what Franklin County as well, because we have a chief that lives here that works in Franklin County. But that's the city to let them do that. But I think what the city's asking for is the police officers, because we're losing a lot of officers, and I don't think we need to lose any more officers. And then for safety reasons, again, for somebody coming in, if they see somebody, a drunk driver going home or they have an opportunity to stop that before it gets any worse, before it comes in and does any damage to somebody in the city or county.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think we ought to go ahead. I don't know why we're waiting another month, but then since that law passed, it would be us to vote on letting these officers. I think there's 3 or 4 officers. I think it take them, and I think they're just wanting to go to the county line where they live, and I think it's the radius of the county line. Is that what you were? I think that's what we discussed.
Line on pass.
Okay,
the adjoining county.
to adjoining county.
And I tell you, really, if you think about it, there are some situations to where they could drive a vehicle into another county and still not be driving as far as they are in Lincoln County, because Lincoln County is a wide county. I know you got one living up close to Elora. That's a long ways. I mean, but if you drive just into Giles County over here, it's not very far to Moore County. So it's worth looking at, and I think our police department needs all the help it get in retaining employees.
100%.
All right, number 2.
Okay, this one is similar. We're asking the board to look at personnel rules as far as department heads, in particular residence requirements being within the county. The current situation for Fayetteville, we do have a candidate for the director of finance who's actually from the county but currently lives outside of the county lines. Very qualified person, and we wanted to look at the residence requirements as far as the personnel policy for department heads, some department heads.
And I know you said they had school children and stuff too, and I think
That's
that makes a big
correct.
difference with what's going on too, as far as staying there in that county instead of moving here.
So we probably would need to move this one on because
Yeah.
of the time.
We do.
I'd really like to move both of them.
I'd like to see both. I don't think over one route. we should-
You want to move both of them? You want to move both of them?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll move both of them.
Yeah.
All right, I'm good with
Take
that.
care
We'll
of
move both of them. All right, so we'll deal with both of these. We'll deal with both of these, teaching that. Looks like we got 2 more, but I don't know if number 3 is going to make it or not. Number 3.
Okay. And this one, I'm going to ask Jesse, will he assist with this one? This one is especially in a particular case. We have had a lot of our personnel from the police department working overtime and not able to meet the policy of the no lost time, day, and the birthdays. So although our policy allowed for 6 months, some of our employees have had to go beyond 6 months with taking their days off. So we were looking for an extension, and we had discussed a specified period. So this is not being asked to adopt a policy or change a policy, just allow a provision in this particular case.
And that is happening because of why?
Many of the police personnel have had to work beyond hours and shortish time and not allowed to take their days off. We do not expect it to be a consistent, but in this particular time period, they have not been able to take their time allowed for the no lost time day and the birthday holiday that is allowed through the personnel
So
policy.
are you asking for the 6 months to be changed to something else?
We're asking for a provision of the current, just for not a change in the policy, but a provision to allow employees who are not, for example, if they did not meet the July 31st, to allow a couple extra months for them to take these given days.
We talk maybe like extend that at least a
Correct.
year, if you don't take it like within a year from
Correct.
that date.
That's what
that
I'm
it-
saying,
yeah.
do away with 6 months to go to a year.
It's
Not permanently,
No,
it's
but-
just temporary.
Right.
I think that's what he's asking
For
for,
this-
temporary extension.
Okay.
Yes. Not a permanent change in the policy.
Would a permanent change affect anything though? Because we're always shorthanded with police and fire.
Well, it happens at various
We're going to be
times.
short-handed now.
Yeah. But people
We can change this to
off and
12
sick and
months,
all
we're going to
that.
be short-handed now. We're never going to be in full staff at police department.
We're not, but I
No, never
think,
going to happen.
I think we owe it to the
Reason why to extend it.
first responders
Apparently
to,
not public works either.
Up to a year.
No,
If you
but-
take it within that year.
Yeah.
yeah, I think we ought to go
I'd say
to a
that's
year, and I think it ought to be all
reasonable.
departments, because I don't think it's any fair for any department.
Yeah, I
If
agree
they're-
with that.
I think it ought to be all
All
departments across the board.
It should be all departments. I agree, just change it and
Right.
be done with it.
I do too. I'd like to move this forward to change it to all departments, not just to one.
All right, everybody good with that?
And provisions, if it's not done
Absolutely.
within a
And
year, then you
provision.
lose it. but surely within a year, you'll
Absolutely.
be able to take that down.
Ed, you're up.
I agree.
You are up on going back up to the William D. Jones project.
Wheel out there, he didn't show up.
You're by yourself, Ed.
Got your name on here.
Engineer, all they need, much was that final amount? I didn't bring that, but he's supposed to.
You got your final
I know it
numbers.
by memory, the awarding bid was,
I know that part, but how much extra money did we need?
150-something thousand.
yeah. The awarding bid was 1,274,000 and 176,000. I think the allotted amount that was in the budgeted was 1,244,000. And we figured out that we were right at, I think, 151.
It was 150-something thousand.
$152,624.81.
Yeah, that's how much was short.
Still got my calculator from the other night.
All right. Say that again, 152 what?
$152,624.81.
I'll tell you, two things we need to do Tuesday night. We need to vote to approve this contract or not approve it. If we don't approve it, you can carry me and Dorothy up to the hospital with a heart attack.
Yep.
4.5 years.
I think so.
And probably some of the rest of us. Also, we need to also vote to, if we approve it, to add this is a projection now, this could change. But to add this projection into where the money's to come from, and the finance department recommended it come from the fund balance, not the bond issue, the fund balance. We go robbing that bond issue too much, and I think we got about 500-something thousand left under, in that bond issue that's not been allocated, somewhere in that range. Go chipping away at it, and we're going to, some of the stuff in the bond issue could go over. We might want to add some more to the bond issue. The finance recommended that if the board votes to go and take this bid, that this amount be allocated out of the fund balance. That's what the finance committee recommended, right, Jeff?
Yes, sir. That's right.
So that's two things. If we move this forward, that's two things that we're going to need to do. We're going to need to vote to approve the contract or not approve it, and we're going to need to vote to allocate this funding to finish it up. Anybody got anything? Y'all want to move this forward?
Yes,
I
sir.
do.
I want to see it get finished up.
Absolutely.
I don't know if Will's going to show up or not. If everybody wants to sit here another 12 minutes to see if he makes it, you can.
I don't see why we should.
What y'all want to do? I mean, what I'm going to do is this. I am going to adjourn this meeting. Anybody wants to stay and talk to Will when he gets here, stay. Okay? All right. Meeting is adjourned.
And that's